Adam's on the East Coast at the end of this month. Don't miss shows in New York City at Rodney's, Thursday, January 29th, 7 p.m. with Anthony Scaramucci, and 9:30 with the Ace Man and special guests. Then he joins Megan Kelly in Chester, New York at the Sugarloaf Performing Arts Center on Friday, January 30th, and on Saturday, January 31st, 2 shows at the Trump Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. Tickets for all these shows and more information always available at adamcarolla.com.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. The Choice Pick It On mandate. Get it on. And Deontay Wilder's back on the show. Got a movie coming out in theaters January 30th. Moses the Black. He's in it. Has a nice role in it. And it's doing a little bit of acting. Good to see you again, Deontay.
Man. Likewise. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm a huge boxing fan, so I'm a huge fan of yours. And
oh man,
I used to teach boxing, believe it or not, back in the day. So I've always been a fan, and I've always been a fan of yours because, well, first off, a heavyweight, fighting at 6'7" and 220 or so is kind of nuts. And I started thinking it's like Thomas Hearns. Thomas Hitman Hearns is 6'1", 6'2", fought at like 148, right. Super lean but great leverage, huge leverage in his punches, right?
That's true.
And
the Hitman Hearns, he was if he touch you, if he hit you, it could be lights out for you. You know what I mean? Hitman was the man for sure. He had that small body frame. They used to, when I would be in the gym, sparring, training or whatever, they always used to look at me and like, man, you like a big Tommy Hearns and stuff with the long, lanky arms and the power and stuff like that. So, yeah, you're definitely correct.
Well, see, there's an interesting thing, which is leverage. Like the guys that are long, like if anyone listen to me ever watches Darryl Strawberry swing a bat, Darryl Strawberry was probably 6'3", maybe 6'4", and was probably 175 pounds. But he cranked home runs because it was bat speed. He was long and he was lean, but he whipped the bat. It was like Tommy Hearns would whip his right hand. That's how it. John Bones Jones was that way, super long and spidery, but using the leverage. And that's how Deontay Wilder knocks everybody out. I mean, your knockout percentage is the best of all time in heavyweights,
in the
right?
world.
In the world, right?
All the history of boxing. In the history of boxing. It's amazing. It's amazing to me, even just to hear it, because just to hear it now in the field and to know that I still got more to give is like, it's crazy. But being in the history of boxing with all the greats that have came before, God has truly blessed me with power for sure. And sometimes I get scared of myself when I'm in there. Like, just to know that I have all that power and to hit a guy and to know what I feel inside of my fist from his face is like, is a crazy feeling, you know what I mean? And to see it, because it's one thing to someone to say it, but to actually see it happen over and over. I mean, 43, for God's sakes, over and over and over again, is definitely a ability and something God has truly blessed me with. I've always had that, being strong, but not having the physique of looking like what my power equals to. And I think that would knock a lot of guys off. They would, it would kind of psych them out a little bit. They couldn't, I would be always underestimated, until the action happens. And then when the action happens, it's like a old shit moment. What I got myself into. But God is so good, man. He's so good and he's so beautiful and he has a sense of humor. He loves me and I love him, and I'm just happy and blessed with what I've been able to do throughout my career. I'm more than 1%.
Well, the thing about reality versus the movies, in the movies, the guys are muscle bound and scary and bulky and, big, thick. They look like The Rock, you know what I mean? But the reality with boxing is you never know what you're getting because you take a look at Deontay Wilder, long and lean, and then you take a look at Tyson Fury, kind of dad bod, and then you take a look at someone like Anthony Joshua, and that guy looks like he's from the movie. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean any of it is better than the next at all. It's a sort of God-given thing, you know. I mean, Roberto Duran was smooth, you know. He didn't have big veins and stridations and six-pack abs. He had a little bit of a dad bod and knocked everybody out. So all different shapes, all different sizes. But speaking of Anthony Joshua, I mean, he just fought, right? Made a lot of money.
Right.
You must be sort of keeping your eye on that. Now, Jake Paul, I hope, has learned his lesson, is not going to fight super heavyweights anymore. That was an insane proclamation. I said it the second I heard it. So Jake Paul doesn't want anything to do with Deontay Wilder, but Anthony Joshua feels like he's got a new coat of paint on him now and is out there looking for fights. I know you guys were trying to put something together a while back.
Yeah. But the latest, have you heard the latest news?
No.
You know, the latest news, you know, he had the accident, the car accident that was in Africa, right? And they said that he's retired.
Oh, really?
You know, it was a lot. Yeah, because of the guys that died was a part of his team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they would been with him all the way up through, and you know, and it was a tragic accident that happened. I think one of them lost his head. It was so crazy.
Wow.
You know, and I think they saying that it's going to be a lot on him mentally, and I could attest to that. So if you know, I don't know how true it is, but these are the rumors that I'm hearing at this moment in time. You know. And if it's so, then I could totally understand, you know, to see that. That's just like me and my coach that came up together and we get in an accident. I survived, but I see his head outside of the window. His body is right here with me. His arms is somewhere else. And, you know, it's a lot. That's a lot to take in, especially if you love him.
No, I get it. But, you know, a lot of people, boxers, stuntmen, rock stars have been known to retire and then at some point come out of retirement. I was literally watching the Evel Knievel documentary last night, and he had a bad crash, and he just got up there and he said, "You've seen Evel Knievel jump for the last time. I'll never jump again." And then 2 days later, he's like, "Don't listen to me.
I'm back.
I'm back." Yeah, so, I mean, look, the guy was traumatized. You want to respect whatever he says, but I'm just saying, you know, a year from now, there could be a different thought.
Right.
You guys were
true.
You guys were supposed to fight, right? I'm amazed that you two never fought.
I'm not going to even get into it. But, yeah, we supposed to, you know, and it's a damn shame that it didn't happen. And, but, you know, like you just said, you said it very well, you know, that it could, if he is retired or if the rumors is true, then, you know, a year, 6 months, a year later too, it may be a different story. It may have some type of, you know, some type of motivation to want to go in and do it for those guys. Who knows? You know what I mean? So that is true. I'm with you on that. And, you know, as long as like I've always said before, as long as I'm still in boxing, as long as he's still in boxing, there is a chance that it can still happen, you know. I am one that believes in doing it when the time is right. But and you know, but what that means? What is the right timing? And what I mean by the time is right is where we're both at our best, you know, and we're both at our great health that we should be, and get it on. And at one point in time in life, I felt there was the moment of a lifetime, you know, of us to do it. But no matter how much I've tried to make it happen and it didn't happen, you know, it is what it is, you know. And every time I talk about that situation, it's just so draining to me. Wow. Because I know the truth. You know what I mean? We know the truth. He know the truth, his team. I know the truth in my team. You know what I mean? And it's so frustrating, and it's disturbing sometimes to know a fight that one of the best fights in the world that's supposed to happen that could or may not never happen, you know?
Well,
So we just never
I
know.
read that he demanded $50 million guaranteed, but it sounded
We
to
gave it to him.
Oh, really? You gave it to him? It sounded to me like he did not want to fight you, and I could understand why, because his advantage is his height and his sort of reach and his length, but you have more of that than he does, and he's probably used to fighting guys that are a little shorter and don't quite have the wingspan. And so I don't think that he matches up very well against you. Now,
Right.
nobody matches up well against you, but a guy like Tyson Fury is actually one of the only guys in the business who's taller than you, right?
Yeah, he's 6'9". But he's 6'9". But I think the tallest fighter that's been in that month was I think 7 feet, the Russian guy.
Right.
But they getting taller and taller as time goes on, though. You know what I mean?
Should there be a super heavyweight division?
No, not at all. It's just like it shouldn't be no more belts created. It shouldn't be no more weight division. It should be no more belts created. It just take the fun out of boxing. You know what I mean? When you're looking at boxing, a gladiator business, because it's definitely not a sport, it's a business. And to call it a sport is a masking agent. You know what I mean? And a lot of people may not want to hear me say certain things, but I keep it real because I'm a fighter and I risk my life for real. So I tell people all the time, I'm not going to allow people to disable me from speaking how I want to speak when I risk my life for others' entertainment. So you're going to listen when I speak, you know what I mean? But this is a business, you know what I mean? And the business go as according, you know. Man. I'm sorry.
Well, what do you do? What do you do if you had a modern day Evander Holyfield? You know, how is he going to compete with you giants? You know, where do you put a guy like that? Like, that's my only argument for heavyweight and super heavyweight is where do you put an Evander Holyfield in modern times?
It become confusing when you start adding so many weights and things like that. Even with the belts, like this is, like I said before, this is a gladiator business. So when we look at it, it should be one champion, one face, one name. That's it. You know what I mean? It makes it more interesting, and it makes it more, you feel more empowered. Like, I got the title. The one title is one champion, one face, one name, and everybody trying to come and get my spot. And we defend it and over again for challengers that's coming up. Now, I understand that we all think of ideas to make money, and having so many belts make money. You know what I mean? But it comes to a point in time where you got to have enough belts and say, this is it, enough weight classes. I don't think it should go nothing past the heavyweight division. You know, the heavyweight division is a special division. And that's why everybody can't rumble in that jungle. It's only certain people can rumble in that jungle of the heavyweight division. And I don't think it should be a within the jungle, you got to go into a cave, and that's the super heavyweight division. Because now you're trying to get, the heavyweight division is already consists of small and big guys. And me, as you can see, is coming up. Nobody has ever seen such a small guy as I, fighting guys 20, 30, 40, 50, even sometimes 60 pounds heavier than I, and still able to knock them off their feet. I'm one of those diamonds in the rough. God has truly blessed me. But when you get to a super heavyweight, these guys is already big. Just think about a super heavyweight. That's unhealthy, for one. You know, to have all your body like that, but you really ain't really training. I don't think a super heavyweight would be interesting, because you would have big floppy guys, or should I say big sloppy guys, you know, and I don't think it'll be that much work. You won't want to see that. You know, you wouldn't have the styles of the 3 styles that you have seen. You know, I think it'll be too much. You know, you already got guys in the heavyweight division, 300 pounds. You know, I know a guy, he about 300 pounds, 3-something. I think the highest was a 400-pound guy. You know what I mean? Just imagine a super heavyweight. Like, what was that weight class be? What was that look like?
Well, what you do is you'd cut it off. You'd cut it off at like 250 or something like that. and anything above that was like super heavyweight. I don't know. I'm just
that's
spitting
what
it
they were
out there.
saying. I would think 250 is a good solid heavyweight. You know what I mean? 250, that's a good solid heavyweight to me.
Well, no, you could make
what I mean?
heavyweight. You could make everyone could make 250, but over that you're in the super heavyweight.
Super heavyweight.
But
yeah.
all right, so you got to fight. You're 40 now, which used to be old, and it's not really old anymore. It's not old for athletes, and it's not old for women anymore. Because I see a lot of 40-year-olds that look pretty good.
I'm telling
So,
you.
how much longer do you want to fight, and what do you think your next fight is? What are you working on?
How much longer? For me, everything has always been off of feeling of how I my intuition or what I feel like. I've never went into a place or made a decision that I didn't feel, that was right to do. And if I did go against the grain, then I suffer a major consequences behind it because I chose emotionally and instead of with my heart. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times we choose emotionally. We say things out of emotion and we act out of emotion. And most of the time when you do those things out of emotion, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna regret what you say and what you do. But if you choose your heart, if I said it from my heart and what I did it from my heart, I don't regret what I said or what I did. You know what I mean? So it's a feeling for me. It's just like with anything like getting married or making a choice of buying your 16-old daughter a car, you know what I'm saying? Or any major decision that you want to make. It's a feeling. Even with my kids, I say, you love daddy? You say, yes, I love daddy. I said, why you love daddy? I want to see. I'm looking for a specific answer. And they'll say, because I can feel it in my heart.
Oh, that's a good answer.
Smile so big. Oh, that's a beautiful answer. That's correct. That's the only answer I want to hear because I feel it. It's a feeling that I feel. This is nothing that I'm saying because it's obligated because you're my father, or I'm entitled to say because you're my father. That's entitlement love. Because many people say, of course I love him. He's my husband. Or of course I love him. That's my father. I don't want the, of course, because of this obligation that you have to fulfill or this entitlement that you think you claim and own. I want you to feel it. I love you because I feel it in my heart. And when my kids say certain things like that and I hit the right answer, it allows me to know that I'm leading them in the right direction in the place and stuff. So when I make decisions and stuff, it's a feeling that I feel. It's in my heart. And, so with this being said, I don't really have an answer to when I'm going to be finished. I have a 5-0 in my head. I can see, but that's just us talking right now in conversation. But it could be 1 year to 10 years, who knows?
Is there ever any UFC related talk with you?
It has been, I would love to enter the UFC. I would love to see what I can do in that field of things. I love combat, period. You know what I mean? And I would love to, I'm fascinated by the training aspect of it to learn jiu-jitsu and many other forms of combat. You know what I mean? I'm a warrior, and I would love to learn the art and the styles and being able to get in range and the mindset of certain positions and style that I can perform as far as combat wise. So I'm very interested in it, but I do believe in all things, time and places and stuff like that, and I feel so wonderful. I'm 40 years old, but, when it comes to combat and stuff, you got to understand, and a lot of people don't know, I started boxing at 21, and many people told me when I got in, oh, that's late. You're not going to do it. You're not going to be able to do it. Like everybody. But, it's always the same. You always the noise that, people don't believe in you until they see certain things. And that's easy to believe when you see. But what happens when you can't see something? Do you really believe? That when faith really plays hand. Faith is something that I can't believe, but I believe that it's gonna happen because I have the faith.
Well,
and a lot of people don't have faith.
Sounds like you should be doing a little preaching as well.
They call me Pastor Wilder too.
I mean, once you hang the gloves up, but I mean, we're living in a world now where there's no real rules. Like there used to just be boxing, and then the UFC came about. There's boxing, the UFC, and they have all these grappling competitions and jiu-jitsu competitions. Now they're doing a thing on freestyle wrestling and guys from the UFC or whatever. So there's no more rules anymore. So somebody could say, look, Deontay Wilder could fight John Jones in a fight where there was striking and feet, but no wrestling or no jujitsu or something like that, and put that together, you know, and especially with Jake Paul, there's really no rules anymore. There's just sort of, would people pay to see it? You know what I mean?
Right.
And
there you go.
Would people pay to see Deontay fight a UFC fighter in some sort of hybrid of boxing and whatever? And I'm just wondering, is like that stuff ever come up? Do people pitch that? Again, there's no more rules.
You know what? Yeah, right. You're right about it. And that's interesting that you say that, because I didn't think of it in that concept of that, but I have thought about, you know, when me and Francis Ngannou was talking to fighting, and I think that'll still happen as well. I still he wants it too. It's just a certain amount of time for that to happen. But like I offered to him, I like, hey, we do one part boxing, and then I come in your backyard, we can do MMA, you know, style. But I also like what you said too. Like, shit, man, you made me think of a lot of other stuff. When you said that you're gonna be one round, it can be grappling. You know, the second round boxing, the third round could be, you know, jiu-jitsu, you know, and, you know, the third, you know, different arts and skills of combat in different rounds. That'll be interesting, actually. That'll be so interesting.
Well, just make sure if you fight John Jones, the first round is boxing, so you don't have to get to the jiu-jitsu in the second round. That's all.
All right. I had to practice.
You guys got to argue about what order this is going to go down.
Right.
Too,
yeah, that'll be another thing. Order it would go, oh, man, you're already coming up with the problems. And that would come with it. But that'll be so interesting, though. I mean, as you going, like, I'm a type of person that, you know, sometimes I feel like I understand people a lot better than most would, because like in my head, when people describe things, it's like it's like a movie in my head, and I'm pressing play to what you're saying. So as you describe things, it's like I'm creating a movie in my head, and I'm watching it as you say it. And sometimes I may smile, you know, early before anything be said or whatever, because I'm already seeing it in my head. I'm like, oh shit, wow, yeah, I can see that. And as you was describing things, I'm adding my own things in my head as well. I tell people all the time, my mind is so big, a spaceship can fit in it, meaning that I see so many things. They say a picture, when you look at it, says 1,000 words, but I say, why not? Why you can't get 1,000,000 out of that?
Well, why did you start? What was your sport before boxing? Because you're so athletic, you must have had a sport before boxing.
I play everything. I played football, basketball, baseball, ran track. If I had time for soccer, I would have done that as well. I was a hell of a quarterback and a pitcher as well. You know, they used to call me Wild Thing back in the day.
So you played in high school, you were quarterback. And
high school, I was wide receiver.
And pitched where? In high school?
That was middle school. Middle school, I was the pitcher. My main sports was football and basketball.
And what got you into boxing?
What got me into boxing because of my daughter. In college, after high school, I would say, you know, college, high school, going in that era, I had a daughter that was on the way. And I remember being we just started college then, because I only could do the first half of college because I had to drop out because I had a daughter on the way, and then she was born with spina bifida. And, you know, it was one of the most scariest feelings of my life, because for one, I'm young, I'm having a child. And for two, this child is born with spina bifida. I don't know nothing about spina bifida. What is it? How you get help? What you do? You know? So it was a scary feeling. So I was just remembering telling one of my guys that I'm not going to be able to attend for the second half or whatever, that I should start boxing. I already thought about plans and stuff like that, but not I was thinking about boxing because I knew that I was doomed for all the other sports. My main thing was football, basketball. I wanted to go. I'm from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Football was a major. thing down there. You saw it. You saw the school spirit, how people would rally up when times would come, when the games come, especially when you're having rivals. That'll be crazy. You got so many crazy stories from people shooting people, from them vandalizing people properties and different things about it just because of this, being the school spirit and the football program. So I knew I had to go to college for all that, but I knew boxing, that was only the school of hard knocks right there. And I graduated from that school. I live it. And I just knew that I didn't have to go to school for that. So I told him that I should start boxing. He thought it was a great idea because, I always stayed in a good fight. I never looked for trouble, but trouble always found me. And people always thought they could pick with me, and because I was, when you're poor, when you're raised poor, and you look poor, you're vulnerable. You're very vulnerable to people's eyes, especially bullies, until the bully get bullied, and they don't understand. It's just like with my power, just like in the heavyweight division now. I'm small frame, but I have more power than any of them. You know what I mean? I'm the hardest punch in boxing history, and you wouldn't tell. And that's how it is. So, I started boxing because I needed money for my daughter. I knew nothing about boxing. I knew about the Olympics with Muhammad Ali and stuff like that. We never seen a boxing gym in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We ain't never hear about a boxing gym in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, until I found one and I went in there and I was like, I kid you not. When I walked into that building, it said, hallelujah, hallelujah. Like I heard those heavenly bells ringing in my ears. You hear me? And it was so real, I could hear it. And it was like ringing. My ears was ringing. And I only can get the indication of I'm at the right place at the right time.
Well,
you know what
I mean, look, I always say this. There's two types of people. One person you punch, it hurts them, and they think, I don't want to get punched again. And the other kind of person, you punch them and they get angry and think, I'm going to knock you out. But that's rare. 99% of people get hit and go, I don't want to get hit again. But 1% goes, I'm going to kill the guy who hit me. And that's kind of what it takes to be a boxer. Regardless of your reach and your ability and your hand speed, it's that thing where you get hit and it doesn't bother you. It makes you motivated to hit the other guy. And so that you don't really find out until you get into the gym, really.
That's right.
And so you found out when you got in the gym and started sparring that you were that 1%. How long did it take you to get in the ring once you got into the gym?
Once I got in the gym, I got in the ring within 3 months. And that's very, very early. And I can tell you as a trainer and stuff, but how your intellect on what you're saying and how you putting it together and stuff like that, it allows me to even more know. Like, I already believed you when you said it. I had no reason not to. But to even hear you speak and more, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right in there. But I got in the ring. I started sparring within 3 months up in there. So I went through a lot of stuff like quick. And I wanted to be a journeyman. That was my main goal of joining the gym, to be a journeyman. A journeyman, of course, but the audience may not know, is a guy that have 0 to just a little bit of experience. Really no experience at all, and you just out there. You're fighting for money, basically. You just putting yourself out there. You don't have a promotion. You really sometimes don't even have a team. You just putting yourself out there. I was going to be a journeyman to make money for my daughter to pay for her medical bills and stuff like that. But when I came in this gym, I felt like I found a good thing. Like I said, I heard the bells and stuff, and I went up to my trainer. Even my trainer didn't believe in me at all when he first met me. I'm tall, I'm long, I'm probably $185 walking into a gym, probably wet, $185. And he looking at this, maybe 95. I'll give myself 95 because I had to make 201. I probably $195. And I'm walking into this man's gym, this tall guy. He said his mindset was like, the basketball court is down the street. You're in the wrong place, son.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
are you 6'7" at this point?
6'7". I'm 6'7".
6'7", $195, under 200 pounds, light. Again, it's kind of Thomas Hearns dimensions, but people didn't really Thomas Hearns was a freak. There wasn't anyone else like him. So if you were
Facts.
looking for fighters, you wouldn't be looking for guys who were built like Thomas Hearns because there was only one of him. Did they ever try to turn you around and turn you into a southpaw?
No, not at all. You know, my trainer believed in learning one position at a time and stuff like that. I can actually, believe it or not, I can fight southpaw. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'll spar that way. I've done it many times to switch up. Especially now since I've broken my right arm and my wrist and all that stuff, it allowed me to be able to, have a better relationship with my left. I'm more left hand dominant now than my right. It's kind of crazy. I do everything with my left. I even wipe my ass with my left, man. It's crazy, but it's
your
just
left
because
hand was in your mouth when you were saying you wipe your ass
but it's
with your
always
left
washed.
hand.
I'm a very clean person, you know what I mean? I got to shave, you know what I mean? I got to shave all the hairs off me, you know. I love smelling good. I love being good, even my woman, she like, she love, grabbing my pillow when I ain't there because my scent is always there.
I would tell everybody if I was training them, I would say, I'm not even going to bother with your right hand. All I want is jabs, hooks, uppercut. All I want is left hand stuff. I just want you to work that bad hand over and over and over. The good hand, that's your dominant hand. That's your strong hand. You've been using it your whole life. But a real boxer, and the thing that makes the way you can tell a boxer versus just a tough guy on the street is the boxer can use his bad hand well. And if you ever run into somebody on the street and they get in that stance and the first punch they throw is with their lead hand, leave, because that means that person trains, because that person uses their weird bad hand. Dudes who don't box just will try to load up their strong hand. You won't even. They don't even bother with their front hand. But if you can get that lead hand, and I'm not saying left or right because you could be in a southpaw stance, but if you can get that jab working and that bad arm good, then you become super dangerous.
Most definitely.
And
your shit, man.
I used to be a trainer.
That
was my job. So. How do you grow up? You said you grew up sort of poor and hard scrabble, but how'd you grow up?
Yeah, man, we grew up poor, but we grew up with a lot of love. You know what I mean? I'm a PK, which I'm a preacher's kid. So my father was a pastor. My grandma was a pastor as well before she died. So we was raised in the church always. And but we as children, you don't see certain things, you know what I mean? You growing up in life and you just think this is how life's supposed to be. You don't know no different. Especially back in those times when kids couldn't get in parents' business and certain things, that's times when you stayed outside. You don't come back and forth in the house, you know what I mean? You either gonna stay outside or you gonna come in. They all about their air and stuff, depending on what type of grandmama you got. All those good things, man. We had those, which you talk about the good old days during those times where we just played and, amongst each other and we stayed outside, but we couldn't let that street light catch us coming in though. Don't let the street light catch you. It ain't gonna be good, But other than that, I didn't start finding out to certain things until I got a little bit older, you know what I mean? Because this is how life was. We didn't know we couldn't do certain things. We didn't have certain things, but we was content, and sometimes you're more happier when you don't have certain things because you don't know what it feels like to have it. And if you have something and you lose it or don't have it no more, you can't, you can feel a certain type of way because you know what it is to have it, But if you grow up without having certain things, you don't know what it is. So you're more happy. You're content with certain ways of things. And when I started really getting up and start talking to my dad, especially when I became a champion and stuff, he explained to me like how hard it was because at one point in time my mother left, and he left, and my father had to raise all his, four of us by himself. You know what I mean? And that's why I respect him so highly. You know what I mean, as a father. And so he really showed me and my brother certain things, although I learned other things along the way.
So
but
your mom
he told
left.
me
how old were you when your mom left?
It was young. I mean, we was young. It was maybe 7, 8, It would be, man, 9, maybe 9, 10, 11, somewhere up in there.
Did she re-enter your life
Somewhere up in
ever?
there. Yeah. Oh, yeah, most definitely. They came back together. They came back together and stuff like that. But it was a little phase of time that she did leave, and he had to take up a responsibility of all of us. So my daddy is a father for sure. Yeah, man, it makes me want to cry now just to think about certain things, like when it's time to step up and what he did, when you talk about, now, when I look at it, and we always talk about women and men and what women can do, men can do, what should be done, or shouldn't be done, the roles that we play as men and women. Now, I do believe in a woman can't raise a boy into a man, but a man can raise a girl into a woman. You understand me? I've seen it.
You've seen
over
it.
and over.
Well, listen, we've lost.
Even as myself as a father, because I can wash the hair, I can straighten it out, I can comb it. And shit, my first daughter, I used to do her hair, dress her, make sure she right, show her how to, present herself and do so as they get older. And now I got teenagers. I'm still involved in their life strongly. This is how you do it as a lady. Boom, boom, so forth and so on. As you would want to see them grow up to be a young lady and mature and wise and make great decisions, because I am a man and I know how men are. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Well, I think I like traditional parenting roles. I look at, I used to work construction and I do a lot of projects. And on a construction site, you have a plumber and you have an electrician and you have a framer and you have people that have jobs, right? But what you don't want is 3 plumbers, because you need an electrician, you need a guy to do the framing and the foundation and the finish work. You need a bunch of people with different skill sets. And so I like a mom and I like a dad, because it's like the plumber and the electrician both working on the house, not 2 electricians or 2 plumbers, which is what we're arguing for now. I think they bring different skill sets to parenting, and it's a good thing.
Most definitely.
And for some reason, we're calling it a bad thing, and we're trying to get rid of it, but it worked. It worked historically. It worked through the dawn of time, and these sort of traditional roles are good roles, and they have the best outcome as well.
Most, I 100% agree with you. Now, if you can have both mom and dad, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. You know what I mean? And
when did your mom come back?
She came back. Maybe she was probably gone for maybe a year, I would say. If I could mirror, it was so long ago. She probably left about a year and came back I'll say no more than a year, maybe.
Did both your parents see your success? Are they around today?
Oh yeah, they still around today. They're still around. They end up divorcing around by 16. When I was 16, and they finally permanently separated at 16. But they still around today. They still,
Were we able to take care of them, get them a house, do those kinds of things?
I took care of them. I've been taking care of my shit since I was 12 with my brothers, them, and all that. Even giving my mom money at 12 years old, you know what I mean? I was a big saver, so when I got money, I would save it all the time, and I would help out. But, I've helped my entire family out over and over, and even their children. They put them through college.
I mean, because they know, you get this multi-million-dollar payday. Like, here's the thing. No one I know made any money either, but people don't really know exactly how much money I make. They just know I make more money than them, so they think I can help them. But they didn't hear that I got a $50 million payday or whatever that number is, which would let them know, come on, you could kick a few bucks down my way. You must have that with your family. And then I don't know how you deal with it, because people deal with it in different ways. Sometimes they cut people off. Sometimes they get into arguments. Sometimes they like doing it for them. Like, it's all different variations. It never usually works out that well, but I'm curious.
Man, you're never not go in life without hearing somebody successful. And, success come in all forms, shapes, and sizes. You just don't have to be an athlete or an actress or artists or something like that. You can be success coming in small businesses, big business, doing all types of different things. And no matter what, when you're the breadwinner of the family, you're gonna get all the bullshit that come your way. Everybody coming in because of one simple fact of what I said before, but I don't want entitlement and obligated love. They feel entitled to what you have. They feel obligated. If you buy yourself a big house, they feel they need the same thing. I'm like, how is that possible when I worked for this and you didn't? Oh, because, you know what I mean? Especially if you have kids by somebody. They feel, well, the kids, when they come home to me, they should be in the same environment as you. So you should if you get a pool, you should buy me a pool over here too. You get a mansion, you should buy me a mansion. You get a Ferrari, I should at least get a Lamborghini. I mean, a Rolls Royce. It's just crazy. And then with family, there's, brothers, mom, sister, so forth and so on. It's like you can never give them enough money. It just go on and on and on and on and on and on. And you got to know how to say no, though. That's the thing. You got to know how to say no. Because certain people feel, they feel successful and they feel bad if they don't help because I'm so successful. But people don't understand that, because like you would say, just say $50 million, they hear that, but you ain't taking all that home, man. You ain't taking $50 million home. And then on top of that, how much bills you got? You may have enough. You may have bills that equal up close to that. So when you pay everything out, I really ain't got nothing. But people assuming and thinking because they hear a certain number, and now they feel entitled, obligated to have this. And if I don't give it to them, they get mad.
Well, tell me if this is true in your life. You don't have to bring up any names or throw anybody under the bus. But
Kenny did it.
I think about this all the time. Definitely the people I've done the most for on this planet hate me the most. Man. That is the truest statement I can ever think of. I know plenty of people I have great relationships with, and they do stuff for me, and I do stuff for them, and we're all copacetic. I grew up poor. I didn't grow up Alabama poor, but I grew up North Hollywood poor, but I did the food stamps and the welfare, and I grew up the same. I grew up super poor, and then I wasn't poor, and the people, sometimes friends, sometimes women, sometimes family members, definitely the people I've done the most for hate me the most, and the people I've done the least for cherish me the most. And
that's some shit.
I know, and I'm just starting to think it's never going to work out because there is no straight line from you doing a bunch of stuff for people, buying them a house, fixing their house, doing whatever, paying for the funeral, paying for the car, paying for they never appreciate it. It's never enough. And if you think about the people I have the greatest relationship with, it's just people where we hang out. They've never asked anything from me. I've never asked anything from them. And they cherish me and I cherish them, but there's never any money going back or forth.
Man, you said a whole mouthful there. It got hot in here at one point in time. I was like, wow, like it's so true. And I always tell people the world is backwards from what we say and what we do. I don't understand why the world's so backwards, And you would think, especially with family, you would think they'd be the closest and the tightest. They will always want to put you in positions to win and be happy for you, even if you're doing better than them, But it's the opposite. Everything is just it's crazy how that is. It shouldn't be that way. I don't understand how it even got to that point in the first place. Now, I'm not saying all families are like that because you do have some family that's very close and they wouldn't steal not 1 cent or wouldn't do not one harm to that person. But it's not a lot of families that's like that. And most families get jealous of each other, especially with one doing better than the other one. And they feel obligated to certain things. And, you good, you the best in the world when you're giving. But when you don't give, you the worst person in the world. You could have, if you did give, you could have gave a little bit more. But I'll take this. Hold up, you won't take nothing. Like my dad would say, you won't take nothing, but you will receive. You understand me? But it's just I don't know why it's like that. I don't know why the world is like that. And it's
the world. There's an element. So for what I've learned is like the people who take the most from the government hate the government the most. My mom was on welfare got food stamps and welfare from the government and hated the government more than someone who just paid taxes and never got anything from the government. You know what I mean? So some of it is shame-based because they understand that they're not able to produce and to take care of themselves, and they feel ashamed. And when you feel shame, you can either go find a mirror, look into it and cry, or you can lash out, essentially, against the person. You know, you can, if you see a guy go by in a Rolls Royce, you could say to your son, you work real hard, one day you can buy a Rolls Royce. Or you can say, hey, son, pick up a rock, let's throw it at the Rolls Royce.
Right.
And we used to live in a society where the dad would say to the son, you work real hard, and one day you get a Rolls Royce. And now our society's turned into, let's go find a rock. And that's not a good place to be as a society, but that's where we're at.
Man, don't look over there and keep your neck stiff. Don't look at them. Don't look. You know, that is so funny, though. That's so true. Everything you said is true. And the society and the world that we live in, that just lets you know that the world is doomed.
What state do you live in?
Well, I'm originally based out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, but I have a home in California, which I'm here right now, and I have a home in Atlanta as well. And Costa Rica is on my list next.
Oh yeah, that sounds amazing.
You know, but I love homes and stuff like that because I'm a homebody. I'm a natural, true homebody. I love being at home. I love providing my energy and my space and my time at home, especially with my children. You know, although I have a lot to offer them and I'm always different places, but I do believe in putting time in. You're not going to get that back. Them kids don't care about your money, who you are, what you're doing, and all that. You may be famous to somebody else, and you may be a god to a lot of other people, but you just mama and daddy to them. And that's just all they see you as. And you can give them money all you want and buy them things, but that time you spend with them, it's the most valuable things. And I love being able to separate my business and my personal time with my children and being around them and watching them grow is so special to me. And to see all of them grow all together and love each other and have that fulfillment as a father, man, I tell fathers all the time, I'm like, we are blessed to be able to have the ability to be someone's father. And it ain't got to be your mutual, you ain't got to be your biological, child. You can be somebody, because I'm a father to other children as well that's not of mine, you know what I mean? And I treat them just like mine, and it's just a beautiful thing, I can go on and on about children. I have 7. I want 7 more, and if it was up to me, I'd have 50.
Moses the Black is the name of the movie. It's in theaters. 50 Cent produces it. It'll be January 30th. Can you hint at all about your next fight before we let you go, Deontay?
Oh, most definitely. Where can that most definitely be for? Shit, but
give us a timeline at least.
I will put it like this: it's going to be an announcement this week.
This week?
It'll be an announcement this week. We're trying to get everything together. We got the pictures together. I don't know if I can speak on it right now. That's why I haven't said, because I'm one of those guys that like to keep things shut, closed, tight. I don't like to kiss and tell. I don't like to put things out that's not gonna really happen. Or I'm not the one that's want to buzz people just to get a reaction or a click or a like or whatever. When I put things, I wanted to be for sure. I wanted it to happen. So when people do, start looking for travel tickets and stuff, this is for sure.
Well, so who might you fight?
So it will be announced this week, and we got the press conference next week.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'll
keep my eye on the internet. It'll be announced this week.
All right, Deontay, when the fight happens or when it gets right up to the fight and you're out there doing press and stuff, come by and let's talk about it.
Let's make it happen. I would love to.
That was fun.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, Deontay Wilder.
Oh, man, appreciate you so much. Thank you for the love and support, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of the day as well.
And we'll talk soon. All right, Kim Bright, health and wellness expert, is going to join me right after this. Thanks, Deontay. If you love epic stories of myth and legend, well, listen up. Before Camelot and the Crown, the Pendragon cycle, Rise of the Merlin, tells the origin story. Watch the legend that shaped Britain in a 7-episode cinematic epic. This is not a retelling of the King Arthur story. It's the rise of the world that made Arthur possible. The Pendragon cycle, Rise of the Merlin, premieres on Daily Wire Plus on January 22nd. Shot across multiple international locations, years in the making, this series brings myth to life. It has amazing production value, full-scale battles, and a sweeping original orchestral score. At its core, this is a return to classic epic storytelling, a story where faith, prophecy, and sacrifice truly matter. Stream the Pendragon cycle, Rise of the Merlin, starting January 22nd, only on Daily Wire Plus. Marsmen getting older. Well, that sucks as a dude. It's harder to keep the weight off, and feel like you're crashing around 2 p.m., like you need a nap. Well, it turns out that low T is the reason for a lot of guys that slow down. TRT is available, but I don't think most guys want to spend $3,000 a year and shut down natural production. One of my buddies found the solution, though. Marsmen, just real natural ingredients that support healthy T levels, stamina, and recovery. He was doing so much better that everyone started trying it themselves. That's right. It's made in the USA, third-party tested, and has a 90-day money-back guarantee. It's Marsmen. Right, Dawson?
For a limited time, our listeners get 60% off for life and 3 free gifts when you use Adam at mengotomars.com. That's mengotomars.com and use code Adam at checkout. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them our show sent you.
All right, so I saw an article very recently, sadly, in L.A. It declared that L.A. is one of the most polluted cities in the world, and we can put that graphic up there in that article. You can see it for yourself. Talks about California fires and how much they contributed to the pollution, but a lot of focus of the fires has been about health. It's been around workers. It's been around cleanup because I'm in that fire zone. I've been to those job sites. I've seen those guys out there exposed, and it's a toxic bouillabaisse of stuff that's in the air, it's in the water, it's in the ground. And every day I drive in and I pass all these road guys and crews and construction guys, and they're all just out there exposed to everything, including myself, because I'm out walking around too. And I just thought I should talk to an expert about this and see how it all works. So we got Kim Bright. She's a health and wellness expert, pioneer in the biz, and she's going to coach us all up on what's going on. Good to see you, Kim.
Well, thanks for having me. I've been doing this for 5 decades, so this stuff is very scary, what's going on with you guys out there.
Yeah, it's always scary what's going on in L.A. You know, you can get killed fast by a homeless guy with a machete, or you can take the slow road with the pollution. Either way,
exactly.
LA's going to get you. So let's set the table with you first, your background, your history, your experience.
Well, I lived out in LA for a little while when I was modeling and acting. I was at CBS Studios, film industry workshops, worked with Ed Asner a little bit, Susan Day, and I were buddies. We were going through that at the same time. And then I left. I had a near-death experience, and God put my feet on a different path, which was nutrition. And I helped myself first, and then started studying all different kinds of esoteric people that were called crazy and insane, and yet now what they taught me and what it's mainstream. So, been at this for 50 years, helping people, taught at the Kushi Institute in Brookline, Massachusetts, helped set up programs for different health centers, had my own health center, had a restaurant in Westport, Connecticut that was all organic and natural back in the 80s, long before its time, farm to table. And that's just a few things. And then founded Brightcore Nutrition almost 29 years ago now. been helping people. Canceled over 15,000 people directly, and that's my background.
I've been one of the things I was interested in, and I found this out. I didn't know about it, but I'll tell you how I found out about it. And we got another article to throw up there, but it's about air pollution and incidence of breast cancer. And I went and visited the fire station in Malibu, ironically, before the fire, probably 2 years ago, and started talking to the guys at the fire station about females and female firefighters and the lack thereof. And he mentioned, I think one of the firefighters said that women were affected more greatly from the pollutants and the fire, the smoke and the toxins and everything, and a much higher incidence of breast cancer. And I thought, oh, I never really thought about that, but it all makes sense now for women in terms of breast cancer and pollutants, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we naturally have more fat in our body, which could play a role in it. But there was a study done at the University of Oregon that just recently came out, and it involved 400,000 women, and 28,000 of them had already, been experiencing breast cancer, and they directly linked it to the air pollution and the pervasiveness of the breast cancer. And, a lot of people think of air pollution as carbon monoxide and other types of air toxins that result from industrial processes or car exhaust. But most of us don't even think about what's been coming to light as the biggest culprit, which is microplastics. And I know when you had those fires out there now almost a year ago, an extraordinary amount of microplastics were released into the atmosphere that didn't just affect you all in California, but these particles went on the Gulf Stream, they went everywhere. They're affecting worldwide now. And, the firefighters using that foam and the sprays, that all contain microplastics too. So now all that stuff's up in Antarctica and in the Arctic. And, these wildfires were a huge event, but it's really a blip on the radar when it comes to the amount of microplastics that we are being exposed to on a daily basis from a multitude of so many other sources, Adam. I mean, every time we burn fuel, their synthetic polymers go up into the air. Every time a missile's launched, microplastics are released into the atmosphere. And again, they're spread globally. And we're unknowingly exposed to and ingesting these microplastics on a daily basis.
Well, I've been talking about this and thinking about it. I was talking to Dr. Drew about microplastics. So it's been a few years ago now, but like sperm counts down, testosterone down, like all the sort of, I guess, reproduction. I guess if you think about nature, and I'm not just talking about human beings, I'm talking about any animal population, when reproduction is being fiddled with, something is going on. Because that's probably the first thing that's affected in nature, whether it's humans or mule deers, like reproduction and environment. And so we were kind of talking about testosterone and sperm counts and all this stuff. It's all just down, down, down. And so you have to think, well, what's going on chemically? Like what's going on with the human condition that the average 22-year-old has a much lower sperm count now?
Well, here's the thing. The average American is inhaling 68,000 microplastics, those particles, every single day. We're ingesting 6 times more microplastics than we did in 1990. And they easily are traveling through our food chain. The fruits and vegetables that we're all eating are tainted because the crop irrigation washes these microplastics into the soil and then thus into our foods. And the plants absorb them. And 88% of our meat and seafood and other protein sources, including plant-based proteins as well, are affected by these microplastics. And 94% of all U.S. water, the clothing we're wearing are, recycled plastic or new plastic, polyester fibers. This is affecting us because when we wear the clothing and we drink the water that's in those plastic bottles, it is going into our bodies and it's affecting us. You're wearing yoga pants directly against your genital area. You're wearing those. Guys need to wear tighty whities, Adam, because those polyester underwear that are so slick and feeling good and wicking away water. Well, guess what? They're also throwing microplastics down there in that area, and it's having a devastating impact on our health. And another frightening thing about it too is, plastics in our brains. I mean, we've got an equivalent of a spoon's worth of microplastic in our brains now. That's 7 grams of plastic. So our brain is now 99.5% human and 5% plastic. And then also people
Let me jump in for 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Not a spoon's worth like a tablespoon's worth, but a plastic spoon, the equivalent of a plastic spoon in your brain. I just want to make that clear.
That's right. It's like if you took a plastic spoon and put it up there, that's the amount. And people are having, they're discovering that they have microplastic plaque in their arteries and veins, and they are now 4 to 5 times more likely going to die from a heart attack or stroke. And then to get back to what you were saying about low T, that's affecting the reproductive ability of both men and women, and especially men with the sperm count. The average teenager in this country has 50% of the sperm count lower than a 65-year-old man and 50% less testosterone. And low T started back in the 60s. I don't know if people realize that. And I don't know if they realize that it actually shortens your life if you have low T. You develop smaller muscles, you lack motivation, your libido is low, you have heart problems, diabetes, depression, and other mental health issues. And, microplastics are endocrine disruptors, and they mimic estrogen. And there's a very high level of hormones in meat and milk, which a lot of guys eat. And one of these types of hormones is a type of estrogen, and it's called estradiol. And then, of course, if you're under stress and you have nutritional deficiencies and develop cell toxicity, those create low T as well. And avoiding the plastic bottles, that's not going to be enough. We've got to do something proactive to rid our bodies of these microplastic toxins.
So now you're the expert. So that's the question. What's the plan? Because we're not going to be able to avoid it.
We're not.
If it's in the air, it's in the fish, it's in the water, and it's in your underpants, then it's ubiquitous, and we're there, and we're living in it. And you don't have to live in a burned out zone like Malibu or the Palisades or Altadena. You're going to be exposed to it. So I guess, when you're talking about avoiding something, or I should say remedying something, it's probably twofold. A, try to limit the amount of it that gets into you. And I guess you could not drink out of a plastic bottle that's been rolling around on the dashboard of your car for 3 days, exposed to the sun and heating up. Like there are things like that, but that's limited because of what we just discussed, because it's ubiquitous. So then you start getting into, well, how can I mitigate whatever's in me? How can I flush it, or how can I mitigate the effects of the plastic that's already in?
Right, because these plastics, they last a long time. These chemicals last in the soil a long time. And when they get heat applied to them, their bonds become even stronger. So I was so excited, Adam, to find this study where I found something that actually degrades BPA, which is the most toxic chemical that's in the plastic. It's degraded by Bacillus pumilus. Now, this they found in this study, and that's a unique strain of bacteria that's found in a centuries-old fermented food called kimchi. And BPA actually blocks testosterone because each of our cells have receptor sites on them. And what happens is, instead of being filled with testosterone and zinc and other things that are supposed to be there on each and every receptor site, it gets filled with BPA and heavy metals. And these plastics are just devastating our whole body. I mean, and this study found that BPA actually degrades the by using the Bacillus pumilus in the kimchi, and it's unique to kimchi. And then I found another study where it showed two other lactobacillus strains that are also found in kimchi actually will absorb and excrete the microplastics in vivo, meaning in something that's alive. Bacillus parkasii and Bacillus plantarum. So this was very exciting because there was nothing up until this point that I could find that was going to be able to do something about all these plastics that are in our body. And another thing too, I wanted to let people know is these microplastics are altering our DNA. They're causing DNA damage. They're changing our gene expression. They're interfering with DNA repair mechanisms. And this is concerning because this is a known risk factor for cancer.
So I've heard, recently a lot of discussion about fermented foods and sauerkraut and stuff like that. And then kimchi is sort of the king of the hill in the fermented food department. So what else, by the way, falls under the heading of that? Is it sauerkraut? Where do pickles land with that?
Well, first, let me say that there was another study, because I love to reference science because I like facts. I don't like going off of, I'm just pulling this out of my, rear end. There's another study that shows how multifaceted kimchi really is, and that was a cancer preventative study. And this study had the conclusion, and let me quote directly from it, the antibiotic-tolerant probiotic presented in kimchi suppresses expression of carcinogen-activating enzymes and possesses many other health benefits, such as suppression of growth, development of pathogenic bacteria, intestinal regulation, and immune boosts, especially the WC baria and L. plantarum found in kimchi have many effects like anti-inflammatory, immune modulating, and blood cholesterol reducing activity, which may account for their cancer preventative and anti-cancer potential, unquote. So, to answer your question about sauerkraut, pickles, and all of that, kimchi is the king of fermented foods. Why? It has over 900 unique probiotic strains. So many of them are not found in other fermented foods like sauerkraut and pickles. Sauerkraut's a great fermented food. Please continue to eat it. Pickles are great as long as you're not buying them off in the middle of the supermarket and they're dead. They've been pasteurized. But kimchi is the king because it has these unique 900. Nothing else touches it. Sauerkraut's great, but it doesn't touch kimchi with all kimchi's probiotics. So, ever since we were born, we have a war going in our gut for the good and the bad bacteria. And we want to eat foods that are going to supply the good bacteria to the greatest degree that we can. And kimchi does that. And kimchi also helps with the gut-lung axis. Out in LA with all that fire and all that pollution you guys live in, the COPD out there must be unbelievable. And then the gut-liver axis also acts from, is affected by eating food like kimchi, because the liver is such an important organ to take down inflammation and fatty liver disease. If you have that, your liver doesn't function right. It can't filter. It can't help with the hormone distribution or the fats or the sugars and turn the sugar into glycogen when we've eaten too much. Then we have gut-brain axis that is directly affected too by eating kimchi. And people that have, poor moods or anxiety or depression or stress or cognitive decline, early onset dementia, when they're not eating this food kimchi and supplying these good guys to their gut, they're not getting these benefits. And then last, gut-skin axis. It shows up. If we have a dirty gut, if we have an overpopulation of the bad pathogens in our gut, the yeast, the molds, the parasites, those are going to show up on our skin because of that direct connection, that direct access. And again, our gut microbiome is what determines our overall health. That's where our health starts, or that's where our disease starts. And 70% to 80% of our immune system is in our gut. And so we must replenish that good bacteria and crowd out those harmful microbes. And when we eat things like kimchi, it's going to help produce compounds that modulate our immune responses.
Good for weight loss as well.
Oh, we have so many stories about that. I mean, unbelievable. There's studies out there that actually show that your people that eat kimchi every single day actually reduce their body fat by 31.8%. And another great thing that came out in studies is how it affects our heart health and its heart benefits, and balancing our blood sugar and reducing our triglycerides and LDL cholesterol and stabilizing blood pressure. So this is all incredible news that kimchi can actually help with. And people, it's the thing is too, as people age, we become more susceptible to these bad pathogens. And we're more susceptible to the viruses. You're going to get sick more often if you're not replenishing the good guys. You're going to have things like candida, fungus, that you just can't get rid of no matter what you do. And again, parasites love when you are low on the good guys because it creates this environment for them to just thrive in like a swamp. And kimchi's been shown time and time again. There's volumes of studies on how kimchi can actually power and overcome all of the bad guys and all these microbials, these bad microbials, naturally and effectively.
Is it Korean originally?
Yes, it is Korean, and it is centuries old, literally. And fermented foods came about all over the world because people were trying to preserve things for the winter. And when they had too big of a harvest, and then they realized that their health actually got better when they started eating these fermented foods that created different compounds once they were fermented. And kimchi is, like I said, centuries old, and it's got a whole vast array of information behind it. I mean, kimchi's so powerful. They actually have a museum for it, Adam, in Korea, and they opened one in Hawaii.
Really?
And yeah, they opened a museum. People come to the museum in Korea to learn how to make kimchi, and they find out all about it. I mean, it's beloved over there, and the same thing in Hawaii. I think they opened the one in Hawaii in, I don't know, 2020, somewhere around there. And then the other one was in the 1980s over in South Korea.
Is there something different about, it's cabbage based, right? But is there something different about theirs?
It's Napa cabbage based, basically. It has spices in it. It has you can make kimchi different ways, but the main ingredients in there are different spices and garlic and the cabbage. And it's all the way that it comes together and the compounds that all these different things help form during the fermenting process. And, it's just incredible, this food. I studied all kinds of people when I got into nutrition all over the world, the people that live the longest. And I wanted to know, what was their diet? How did they live? And so I did a lot of research with kimchi. And what I found too is that people live longer. There's actually an anti-aging study out there that showed. They did it in a test tube. They tried it in a test tube when they used kimchi extract, and it actually slows the aging of cells. So scientifically, we now have that proof that, when it can slow the aging of the cells. And when you do that on a cellular level, you're going to slow the aging of your tissues, which is a combination of your cells, and then ultimately that slows the aging of the entire body. I mean, isn't that amazing?
When was this study?
I think that study was done, I want to say, oh my gosh, when was it done? It was in the Springer Nature, wrote it up. I remember that, but I don't remember this. Oh, it was, let me think, June of 2011.
Oh, so it's fairly recent.
Yeah.
And they've actually showed that in the test tube with human cells.
That's right. Showed that it actually slowed down the aging. So people have been talking about this for years, just naturally using it. And if you look at over in Asia, they actually live longer. And oh, by the way, that study was 2021. I was mistaken. One of my people just told
More
me that.
recent, better.
More recent, yeah. And if you look at over in South Korea, they actually live a lot longer than we do too. So I think kimchi plays a role in that.
Well, I know RFK Jr., who's a bit of a fitness nut. You guys can tell. Although maybe we shouldn't say nut. Maybe we're nuts for not doing it as much as him. And I like that guy. I played his benefit, his comedy benefit, and he's been in here a couple of times with Cheryl, his wife. I think together, yeah. Anyway, a very good dude, but obviously knows what he's talking about in terms of health. And nobody see the thing about RFK Jr., and I know he's a huge kimchi fan, and I think we have a clip to play of him talking about it.
Mainly meat and then fermented vegetable, anything fermented. So a lot of kimchi and all kinds of fermented vegetables. And it's really, I would say it's dramatically changed my, everything.
Yeah, I mean, can you believe he's 71 years old? I mean, I'm 71.
Well, that guy, you guys should date. I think here's the thing about him. He started off as an environmental lawyer, and he was talking about toxins and cleaning up rivers and cleaning up lakes and all these, big companies dumping their sewage in. So he's pretty tuned into environmental dangers, I would say. And I'm sure he probably knows more about the subject than maybe any person alive, since he's been doing the science and researching the science on it for all these years in order to bring these cases and lawsuits against all these big, manufacturers and chemical manufacturers and things like that.
I agree 100%. I mean, and why people fight him. This man is a walking encyclopedia, and he has direct experience with these things. He knows what these chemicals do to people's bodies. And I mean, it's amazing how much data he has. And I just wish people would wake up and understand that, what he's saying is the truth and stop fighting him so much.
Well, they They go, well, you're not a doctor. Well, by the way, the doctors were the ones who got everything wrong about COVID and the food pyramid 10 minutes ago. So
and doctors aren't trained to find cause of things. He's trained to find the cause. So am I. Doctors are trained to identify a symptom and write you a script and say, come back and see me in 2 weeks so I can write a new script when your symptoms change again. They're all about the symptoms, not the cause.
And also, he's been on a quest for, decades, collecting and consuming and digesting this information. And I hate it when people try to give him short shrift and say, you're not an expert, you're not a doctor. And as he said in, I think, a recent interview, he goes, and this is so true. He said, look, I'm not a doctor. When I do one of these cases for one of these big companies, they're polluting the river, I have my doctors who give my expert opinion from Stanford and UCLA and Harvard, and the other side has all their doctors saying the exact opposite thing, who are quote-unquote experts. So you say we should listen to the doctors. What about all the doctors that are working for Union Carbide or Monsanto or Philip Morris that are saying the exact opposite thing that his doctors are saying? Cigarettes aren't addicting. They had tons of doctors telling you that. So pardon me, but I'm a little dubious with the doctors. I'd rather listen to the guy who's got the boots on the ground and is out there collecting data. And if that guy swears by kimchi, then I'm going to tend to listen to him versus the one that's prescribing the drugs for my gut, the pharmaceuticals for my gut, versus the easy and relatively inexpensive way to fix my gut.
And the natural way too, Adam. I mean, this is not chemically petroleum based to tear your gut up further and to change your gut. So now you need a different, prescription medicine. So I think we should all aspire to this age to be healthy. I mean, you can start anytime. If you're younger, start eating kimchi now. I mean, there's just something different about people that eat the kimchi. And it's never too late. If you're older than 71, start now. If you're younger, start now. But make yourself healthier. You want to lead a healthy life. You don't want to grow old and have years on you, but you're not healthy. You're tied to machines or, 20 different prescriptions because, we're living in a world that's trying to kill us. I mean, there's poison in our air, our food, the medications we're being told to take, and there's no avoiding it. If you have to you have to do something proactive, or you'll suffer the consequences of listening to these people that don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Well, now here's the kimchi rub. I was coincidentally out of town a couple of days ago and bought some kimchi. I was staying at a hotel, but I had a kitchenette. And I was going to be there for a few days. So I bought some cheese and some kimchi and some hard-boiled eggs and like stuff to snack on. And then
sounds good.
It sounds like a good idea. But then when I was trying to bring the food home, I packed it in my luggage, and the kimchi bag burst open, and I got kimchi juice. By the way, I could smell it at the airport when I pulled it off the baggage carousel with 5 feet away from the bag. I said, uh-oh, the kimchi busted open. And it's tough. Like it can be tough to consume. I got a pretty good stomach, and I don't mind the taste of it, but it can be a little messy, can be a little cumbersome. The smell can turn people off. And, there's a little barrier to entry to just eating kimchi in its raw form.
I agree with you. I mean, I've been trying to teach people how to make kimchi for 50 years. I mean, I studied martial arts. That's who taught me how to make kimchi and eat kimchi was my Korean teacher. And so the first time I smelled it and tried to eat it, I about fell off the chair. And then I loved it. But there's so many people out there that are, Americans that this is not what fits their taste buds, and they're smellers. So we came up with an idea at Brightcore. Let's put all these benefits of kimchi in something convenient that people will take every day, because this is the kicker. You need to take it every day. And most people aren't going to eat kimchi every day if they're not from Korea or Asia. So we thought, what will they take every day? They'll take capsules. So we managed to put the kimchi in and keep all of its benefits in convenient capsules so you can have it every day without the taste, the odor. And also people that are on low sodium diets can't eat kimchi too easily, the store-bought, or if they make it themselves, because it's high in sodium. So we've reduced most of the sodium down, 100% made in the USA, non-GMO, and all natural. And so many people, Adam, have been helped with their regularity. Their digestion has changed tremendously. They don't get bloated anymore. They're not constipated. And so many people that used to get sick all the time, their immunity has just gone up after taking Kimchi 1 every single day. They're not sick anymore. And their energy levels, people have been amazed. When you have low T2, you have very low energy as well. But their energy levels, no more chronic fatigue, and they're living life to their fullest now. And also brain clarity, brain functions improved. They can focus, they can complete tasks, and their skin and hair improves. People tell them, my gosh, your skin looks so great. What are you doing? Your hair, it's thicker, it's really looking good. And I know, everybody wants to look good. Everybody wants to look good. And when you're doing well on the inside, eating that kimchi, it's going to reflect on the outside.
Yeah, well, I've been taking it. I know you gave me some product, and I feel good. Now, I almost always feel good, so I'm a bad person to do. My gut is always good. I never have any problems. But I've been taking your product for a while now, and it's good. The product is good, and the byproduct, meaning gut and skin and energy, good energy, because I've been burning the candle at both ends, running around doing a lot of early mornings and a lot of long flights and a lot of airports and a lot of 2 shows and then back to the hotel kind of thing. And I haven't gotten sick, and I felt good, and I felt clear. too. Like it's a little tough
Awesome.
when you're sleep deprived and you catch a real early morning flight and you got to get to Florida and there's a time difference and you got to do a show and you got to memorize an hour worth of material. Like sometimes you get out there and you're a little bit hazy, but I've kept clear, and I just want to give you a plug. I want to tell my viewers and listeners where to find the product. I know you have a special
appreciate
form.
that. I really do. And, I'd like to give your viewers and listeners a special today. So they too will try it. Try the kimchi one. Is that okay if I go ahead and do that?
Yeah, give them a. It's a great product. I take it. You can, by the way, you can taste it a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you.
An teensy bit, yeah.
You can taste a little. By the way, I like that because it kind of reminds me that it's there and it's working. But yeah, just slug it down with a glass of orange juice or whatever. It's fine. Yeah, let's tell them where to get it.
All right. So they can go to mybrightcore.com/Adam. Again, that's mybrightcore.com/Adam and get 25% off using the code Adam. Or get up to 50% off your order plus free shipping when you call 888-418-0915. Now, I'm an educator. I've been doing this for 50 years. So I like you to call in so we can answer your questions. We want you to call so we can talk to you. I know this is highly unusual in this day and age, but we want to make sure that this product's right for you, that you understand it, and you can ask questions. And plus, I want to give the first 100 callers a free bottle of our vitamin D3 plus K2, which is a great thing. And again, that number is 888-418-0915. And Adam, I really want to thank you for helping us gift 100 bottles of our Kimchi One product to the workers on the front lines out there who are helping clean up and restore the Palisades. And, I'm committed, we're committed to improving the health of everyone, been doing this 50 years. And that's why I want you to call today and improve your health. Call us 888-418-0915.
Kim Bright, thank you so much for teaching everyone listening as much as they could possibly know about the wonders of kimchi. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you, Adam.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right.
Thanks.
Pluto TV has thousands of free movies and TV shows.
What? This is the mindset. Free. This is the mantra. Free. This is the mindset.
With movies like Joe Dirt, Pixels, and 50 First Dates.
This is awesome.
And TV shows like Survivor, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Fairly Odd Parents, and Ghosts. Pluto TV is always free.
Huzzah!
Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
You're welcome.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yeah. They keep your car on the road. That's the business they're in. They offer friendly, helpful service and all the knowledge you need. If I can't figure out something that's wrong with my car, well, they're always my first call. Although, like I said, most of the stuff I get there is for my race cars. They got everything. They have thousands of parts in stock and can test your battery for free. Need wipers, a brake light, or a quick fix? They'll get you the right part right away. Everyone who works there is knowledgeable and friendly. The professional parts people at O'Reilly are your one-stop shop for DIY auto stuff, in-store or online. It's O'Reilly. Right, Dawson?
Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Adam, thank you for calling Mark Ruffalo a pussy.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
You're welcome. ELISHA KRAUSS is here, and she's got some news. What do you got?
I think you're going to like this first story.
Mm-hmm.
I know how you feel about birds.
Uh-huh.
Specifically blackbirds. All right. This dude has now trained crows to attack MAGA hats after saying that there's no longer a moral option. So if you
no longer what?
A moral option. Like he's saying it's
I do like when people I do like when people who like run up and kick people in the shins and then run back to their car going, there was nothing else I could do. It's sort of like there is a version of life where you just stay home and enjoy your fucking life and leave everyone alone.
Yep. So this guy named Dave, he said that he has now gone viral. He's very proud of his project. He says, quote, "This project has been going on for a while." And he admitted, "I tried to be a centrist for a long time, but I no longer believe that that is a moral option." And as a result, he's now gripped the internet with his Trump-hating crows through a series of threads posts, which is like the X for
I'm
Instagram.
mixed on this guy because the attack crows is something I've been preaching about for 30 years. So I kind of like the cut of his jib.
Apparently, he says that they're designed and trained to go after people wearing MAGA hats. He said he used food to train them, and he recommended what to feed them. He talked about how it's more of a possibility than a probability that he can train them to do this, and that anybody could potentially do it. The crow lover's accomplishment has divided the internet, of course. On Reddit,
but
a person commented.
Let me say this. Do we really need crows when we have a bunch of 42-year-old white Yenta bitches who are already punching these guys for wearing a MAGA hat? You know what I mean? Like, do we need the crows?
So I don't have any animals. I just have 4 children. I'm going to start sicking my kids after, like, the liberal lesbians now. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be like, I trained my offspring to go after people I don't like politically.
They train crows to pick up cigarette butts and throw them away. I've said that many times.
Yeah.
So they'll do whatever for a couple kernels of corn. So you can for sure get them to do a MAGA hat. Now the question is there are other guys wearing red hats that are Boston Red Sox fans who may not want to be
Kansas
attacked.
City Chiefs.
Yeah, who may be more in line with you politically, but are still getting attacked by your crows. So you can't just have them do red hats.
Okay.
Because probably every 5th ball cap is a red hat, and I guess, or a blue hat. There's blue MAGA and red MAGA. Like,
I know that there was the pink Barbie vibe one for a little bit. There's the white one with the gold logo.
Yeah.
That was like the 43, 45.
You're going to
on
have
the
to
side.
teach them to read MAGA and numbers.
Damn, if crows can learn how to read, then they're going to be like one-upping pigs. Because aren't pigs the ones that are supposed to be like the most
I love bacon so much, I don't like to think that way.
Same.
So,
prosciutto.
You know, you're not going to teach them how to read, but you will teach them how to recognize a symbol. And so MAGA is just going to be a symbol, you know, and they can read the symbol, but they're not reading. I guess if you went to Japan and you couldn't read Japanese, but you knew the symbol for the boys' room and the girls' room, and you'd just be reading that, you would learn that symbol. I think you could probably get them to do that. But he hasn't unleashed his crows yet?
I don't think so. He says that they are trained and ready to do it.
It seems like a weird thing to do.
He's documented all of the step-by-step stages of how he has trained them. And a dash of political mischief turned local crows into the red hat removing legends.
So how did he do it? And what was the thread? Sorry, I think I stepped on you.
Oh, no. He just has talked about it like on Threads, which is like the X of Instagram. I never signed up for it. Did you?
No, I don't know what any of this stuff is. I really don't.
You literally are just like an X guy, but you still call it Twitter.
Yeah, I call it Twitter.
Yep.
People tweet stuff and I just comment on it.
Yeah. And then, of course, everybody over on Reddit, which I kind of love Reddit. I know that there's gross and deep bowels of Reddit that we don't want to talk about, but I trust it for a lot of real life feedback from time to time.
You do?
Restaurants, hotels, traveling to a different city, like what should I see versus what I shouldn't, because it's not paid and promoted to my knowledge like Yelp and other services and like Google reviews and stuff, you know?
All I know is that everyone talks about how horrible the internet is and all the haters and all the whatever. And I don't read anything bad about myself ever, but if you go to Reddit, then there's tons of bad stuff. I mean, that's what I assume. So I never go to Reddit. I just hang out on Twitter, and like people are generally nice.
Because you're a man.
Did he explain how he teaches the crows?
Oh, yeah. He talks like step by step about how first you got to give them a little popcorn kernel, and then you got to do this, and then you got to walk through the whole process. It sounds like he's single.
There was a movie called Day of the Dolphin. I agree. There's a movie called Day of the Dolphin, and the military was working with dolphins to like put explosives on them and hit hulls of ships and stuff like that.
Not just that, but they actively still use dolphins. Like some of it is public and some of it is still classified. But I was listening to a whole podcast about how from Russia to NATO to the United States, we use sea creatures. We put things on them so we can pick up boats and missiles and things that are happening in the oceans that are beyond our purview, like that are in international waters.
Yeah. Right. Sure. So we use animals. We get it. And the crows would work. The crows would work on hats. It would work on school shooters, too. It would work on Minnesota rioters as well. There's a lot of use for crows. We're leaving crow money on the table. And this guy's captured my idea and he's using it for evil. But the point is it would work. I don't know. This feels a little stunty to me. I want to see it.
You don't know if it's real?
I just want to... Listen, Jurassic Park was a great movie because it worked in theory. It worked in theory. You go, there's a little DNA, it's trapped in the amber. We take it and we build and you go, that could happen. And that's the same with the attack crows. That could happen, but it's still not a real dinosaur. I want to see...
You want to see it for real?
I want you to have a guy put on a MAGA hat, a Boston Red Sox hat, and a Chiefs hat, and then 5 other people with no hats, and then 5 other people with black hats, and have them all walk through a parking lot outside of a Costco, and then you unleash your crow, and I want to see him go for the right hat and bring it back.
You want to see it in action?
Yes.
See if he's full of it or not.
All right.
All right, next story. This week was MLK Day, and activist educators are apparently hijacking the holiday. This comes from the New York Post, that Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy is all about Palestine.
There is nothing these crackpots can't hijack. There's everything they will hijack, and everything is... But by the way, since when did people love Palestine? You know, like what? Why do progressive people love? What is there to love about Palestine if you're progressive? Oh, sorry. Unless the only thing that motivates you is you hate your dad and you're going to do the opposite of everything anybody wants.
Well,
because I think all of this is the opposite of anything anyone wants.
So I've been fighting SJP idiots on campuses for 14 years now.
What's SJP?
Students for Justice in Palestine.
Oh, okay.
They're a terror-adjacent group, in my opinion, allegedly, that are on campuses all across the country. They come and like walk out of my speeches and blow horns and yell and all that stuff. And this reminds me of this. And I think that there's different levels to the stupidity of pro-Palestinian groups.
Yeah.
You actually have people that are anti any Western civilized democratic constitutional thought and values.
Yes.
And then you have people that are just ill-informed.
Yes.
And they like to be a part of a group.
There's always ill-informed.
And so I wondered, I think that these teachers are probably a little mix of that group, and they're going to be teaching this crap to 6-year-olds.
Yeah, but the genesis of it is, I know it because I grew up with it. I had these people in my family. My mom and my grandma were this way. And
they were pro, like, Palestine. Well, then
they
that's
were
a whole
pro whatever you weren't pro.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Like, if you said to my mom, my grandma, look, here's what John Wayne wants. They'd go, fuck that. We're doing the exact opposite of everything he wants. And then it's certain things. It could be stuff that you want, too. Like, why don't you want a border that's secure? And it's like, because John Wayne wants it. So fuck that.
Yep.
So they end up just doing the opposite of what John Wayne would want.
Of the person that they despise or distaste.
But also that person sort of stands for America. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, Ilhan Omar, all she does is hate everything that John Wayne would like, or any pro-American. And you go, but she's for these people, or she comes from this, or this country saved her. Why is she so angry at this? Because they fucking hate their dad, and they're angry at this country, and this country's their dad. That's how it works. So you keep trying to sort it out. Like, I don't get why they like this, but they don't like that. And there's no good reason to like Palestine.
Is all of politics either, because you also get the people that everything that they're doing is trying to please daddy.
Yes, I like them.
So you could have either all of politics as a side of like going the opposite of their dad or trying to suck up to their dad.
But
it could work for both sides of the aisle. Like that's not just conservatives are trying to please authority and liberals are going are anti-authority. I think it sometimes can work both ways.
Yeah, generally when you hate your dad, you're anti-authority, and then you're sort of anti-America, and you're certainly anti-Trump, and then you're anti. Basically, you just say to anybody who sort of pays their taxes and thinks clearly and has definitions of what a man is and a woman is, and then they go, I side with Israel and I do not side with Palestine, and then they go, okay, got it. We're all for Palestine.
Yeah.
And then you go, but what about, do you even know what Palestine does? It's like, it doesn't really matter what they do. We're against what that guy likes.
Yep.
And most of that it's like reactionary.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little feminine, and it's where we're at today. And they've never really sorted out what goes on in Palestine. And look, Israel has its skeletons and its faults.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to a society, they go, well, America had the Trail of Tears. Yeah, I get it. But do you want to live in Iran or would you like to live in America?
Here.
Yes. So the point is
turns out it's a much better place for a woman like myself whose head is not covered.
Everybody has their skeletons. All society, they all had slavery.
Mm-hmm.
They all did things to indigenous people. But all things being equal, would you like that whole region to be more like Israel or more like Palestine? I'm going to Israel every fucking day of the week and 10 times on Sunday. So shut the fuck up. And I'm done. And I've never been there and I don't care.
I think that we also have to recognize that obviously teachers' unions have been hardcore left for a very long time. So are we surprised that the teachers are doing this specifically on the East Coast? But that those teachers probably also came from higher education institutions that spew this same stuff and have gotten hundreds of millions of dollars from Qatar.
Yeah, teachers are all the worst now, by the way. They're all, every time there's one of those crazy chicks simulating getting shot in the neck or something, it's always a teacher. It's like they're the worst. Like an
elementary school one, too.
They're the worst. They're the worst.
I just can't believe that they're going to be teaching this to 6-year-olds. That's, I think, the most disturbing thing for me. Listen, if you want to have a club that talks about this kind of stuff and you are maybe high school or college campus, that's a different level of maturity and world sense.
Yes.
But if you're talking to a first grader about it, you're just indoctrinating them at that point.
Agreed. All right, what's next?
All right, so Seattle's mayor says that she will not be investigating Somali daycare fraud.
Yes. Look.
Yep.
This is, file it under, I'm going to do the opposite. What would Trump do? Trump would investigate Somali daycare fraud.
So
what would I do?
This video is going
Opposite of
viral.
Trump.
She talks about how she's going to not pursue any investigations into fraud. I'm of the mindset, and I'm sure you are too, that there's probably this level of fraud, maybe not to the Minnesota extent of the hundreds of millions of dollars, but there has to be this level of fraud in every state, right?
I totally agree. Also, what people need to understand, let me lay it out for all you people. Look no further than the job site. Now, construction. Different groups fall into different trades. It's pretty much works that way across the board. Now, Southern California is a little different, but it's pretty much when I work construction, the guys who did the finish carpentry, they were all white guys. And the guys who did the stucco and the masonry, they're all Mexican guys. And the guys who did all the stonework, the slabs and the tile, those were Middle Eastern guys. And then the black guys would come in at night and steal the tools. But everybody had their place, is what I'm saying. And how does it work? Well, then why are all the stone guys Middle Eastern guys? Or how come the Finnish guys are all white guys? Or what about the Mexican guys? Well, he's got his 11-year-old doing stucco with him. It becomes like a sort of a trade. They sort of fall into stuff. And it makes sense that if there's a community a close-knit community. It's not going to work for white guys because we're just floating around. Who gives a fuck? Like, no one says, hey, Adam, there's a white guy. He does stucco work. I'd be like, oh, okay. Well, don't you want it? You're white. Like, that wouldn't work. But the Somali community is very tight.
Yep.
It would make perfect and utter sense that if one of them got into this and got into this grift and became this
like,
business.
Hey, guys, did you know?
It would expand out through the community.
It's to use that example for another community, you know, kids of military members tend to join the military.
Yeah.
Or law enforcement, fire department. There was that, or the COVID fraud here was all Armenians.
Yes.
It was like a group of Armenian mobster dudes in their tracksuits and cigarettes.
Yes, and lowered BMWs with catback exhaust systems on them so you could hear them at all hours of the night.
So
They're a wonderful culture. But the point is, yes, I'm sure there's a lion's share. I shouldn't say lion's share. I'm sure there's a greater percentage of Somalis engaged in this activity because that's how groups and communities work. And it also works that way with baking and candlestick making. Like, that's how it works.
And my point too is I fully agree with that, but just the government is so easily defrauded, especially in blue states. I don't know if it's the Somali community in Washington or Texas or here in California. It could be, to your point. But I'm just like, shouldn't we maybe look into these things to see how much it's costed taxpayers?
If you have a party, as in Democrats, and sorry, there's a lot of chick think going on here, who is going to fight Trump at all costs and protect you, then they're going to fight Trump and protect the person that's ripping off taxpayers with fraudulent daycare centers. And that's where we're at now with progressive cities. And women especially will buy into this even more than men, although Jacob Fry. All right, so let's watch. She's being interviewed. She's the mayor of Seattle.
Yep.
She's Democrat, socialist,
Katie
or whatever.
Wilson.
And she's got a plan for the Somalis.
I mean, I don't think it needs to be explained why it's problematic to have random people showing up to daycares. I mean, I think the fear in the Somali community is real. The fear in immigrant communities are real, so we're taking that very seriously.
Along those lines, have you asked anyone to follow up on the fraud claims, either to the Department of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs or SPD?
No.
So there's, as far as you're concerned right now, there's no reason to suggest there's any sort of fraud?
This whole issue is not really about fraud, right? It's about dividing and conquering. It's about making an immigrant community a target, right? There's no reason to assume, based on the identity of a daycare operator, that their small business is doing anything wrong. I mean,
first off, everyone feels threatened. Every community is being attacked. Stop and frisk. If I'm walking down the street and a cop passes me and goes, hey, could I see some ID? I just go, here. And then I wouldn't feel threatened and I wouldn't feel attacked. Yeah. If you're running a business and your business is above board and all the counting and all the numbers in order and everyone's filled and you have all the paperwork, then nothing's going to happen to you because nothing can happen to you.
I 1,000% agree, and I'm the one that got a ticket for jaywalking in Honolulu because I didn't have my ID on me and was also jaywalking. So they targeted me and my blonde cousin. But I don't know if it's because I'm a mom, but I feel as if I clearly wouldn't have voted for that Democratic mayor anyway. But even if she had an R after her name, I would hit pause and be calling and picketing at her office because anything related to children. Church, school, daycare, whatever, you're not willing to call the Seattle Police Department. You're not willing to call immigration services. You're not willing to look at what the taxpayers of your city and your state have been giving to these daycare centers and whether or not they're legitimate. And if there's illegitimate things happening with money, there unfortunately usually is a trickle down where there's other horrible or illegitimate things happening to minors on the same property.
Agreed.
Why wouldn't you go after that? That to me isn't about attacking a community. It's a winning issue of keeping families and children safe.
She's fighting Trump, not running Seattle.
Of course.
And that's what we're dealing with. And that's what we're dealing with in Minneapolis. And that's what we're going to be dealing with everywhere. We'll deal with that in California. They weren't rounding up illegal criminals. They were fighting Trump. And we've weaponized, and sorry, it's more of a feminine trait, but we've weaponized Karen Bass and all these yentas to do battle with Trump, and now they're literally fighting the good guys to protect the bad guys. Yeah. It's as simple as that.
But to defend my sex.
Mm-hmm.
The
good luck.
Pluto TV has thousands of free movies and TV shows.
What? This is the mindset. Free. This is the mantra. Free. This is the mindset.
With movies like Joe Dirt, Pixels, and 50 First Dates. This is awesome. And TV shows like Survivor, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Fairly Odd Parents, and Ghosts. Pluto TV is always free.
Huzzah!
Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
You're welcome. Homes.com. Some might say that Homes.com is the best home shopping site. Maybe Homes.com's. Well, could be their super comprehensive and transparent agent directory, or maybe it's that Homes.com is the only site that always directly connects you with the listing agent who knows the home the best. Perhaps it's because Homes.com has the most in-depth neighborhood content of any home shopping site that's extensively researched to highlight the personality of each neighborhood. Homes.com, well, they go above and beyond to bring home shoppers the in-depth info they need to find the right home right now. Homes.com, that's Homes.com. We've done your homework.
That's been going on in politics for decades.
Yeah,
like there's always been this.
I gotta go Whoopi Goldberg on you. No, that's true. So in the past, what it is you had to have the illusion of bipartisanship and the illusion of a fiduciary duty and the illusion of the city comes first. So you would go. So she'd go, the question, are you going to look into the Somalis? And in the past, because she loves the Somalis and hates Trump, but in the past they'd go, of course, fraud is a very big deal. And they'd go, have you looked into it? My office is aware of this, and we will get you the information because we are going to look into this. And then they wouldn't, but they wouldn't just go. She just goes, no.
Yeah.
Which is that's a new thing. Right? Just go, fuck that. Like, I'm not doing that. Fuck you. And she just goes, no. And the old politician would have thought no, but then calculated the optics of that.
The PR spew.
Right. Yeah. And so we've entered this new world, and it's interesting to me. And by the way, no, I'm just saying women are more capable of it. Like when you get into when you try to get Ilhan Omar and you go, 1 billion Jews were just incinerated by Palestinians. Do you think that's wrong? And she'd go, I'm not talking to you. Like, it just go, yes, it was wrong. But they don't one syllable, 1 inch, one anything. You know when I learned this was when it was Game On? And Dawson, you can look for this. There was a clip from TMZ, and it was the city. Now, the guy had a weird title, but it was the LA police commissioner, and he was like the union commissioner or something. He wasn't the police chief of LA. He was the LA union police chief leader or something, police leader or something like that. He was on TMZ, and this is like almost 10 years ago. And that's back when people were taking a pickaxe to Trump's star. And they were like, I think he's a black guy. I think he's bald. And it was outside of a restaurant at night. And he was like walking back to his car, and TMZ caught up to him. And he said, hey, people out with a pickaxe. I mean, they're walking down Hollywood Boulevard with a weapon, and they're destroying property. And then they're walking back. And he goes, they say to the police commissioner, you got a problem with that? He goes, hey. Not my problem. Do what you got to do.
I think we played that on the morning show, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Way back in the day.
Do what you got to do.
And I'm like, you got to do stuck out. Yep.
Listen, douche, you hate Trump. I get it. But you're supposed to create the illusion of doing your job.
Turns out broken windows theory is a legitimate form of law enforcement that worked for New York and other places. So why would you let somebody... If broken windows, no bueno, why would you let somebody take a pickaxe to a sidewalk?
Right. So these people are so emboldened that they go, are you looking at Somali fraud? And they go, nope. And it's like almost like they don't realize they're being filmed.
No, I actually disagree. I think that part of the reason why people feel emboldened to do this is because they know that they can double down for their own crew.
I guess.
And their own inner circle and their own bubble.
Yeah.
And that's all they need to please.
Yeah.
And so they don't give a shit about everybody else, and they don't give a shit about their cities.
Well, it's what happened to all the women who are college presidents who got dragged up in front of Congress. They couldn't do it. They were fucking women, and they were fighting with Elise Stefanik, and they were women first and college presidents second, and they all said stupid shit because they're like, fuck you, bitch, don't come at me. And then they all got shit canned, which is awesome. Here's this. Was this like 2018 or something?
I bet you it was like right after. I think it was right after he announced, because I wasn't on the radio in 18.
Well,
I feel like I remember
he
talking
won.
about this.
I thought he won.
Oh, it was
you
after
would know.
he had won?
Well, they were
So that
taking
would've been
they
early
didn't take a
2017.
pickaxe to it because he announced. He had to have won.
I
Well, we'll
don't
figure it out. Anyway, asked about Donald Trump and the pickaxe to a star.
It's hard on crime.
What do you think about the ongoing defacing of Donald Trump's Star of Fame?
I'm in favor of it.
You're in favor of it?
Take that! No, wait, what?
Do you think maybe they should just remove the star? Is it becoming a public
definitely
nuisance?
in favor of getting rid of the star.
This guy's an LA cop. I mean,
Wow.
police guy. And the guy's
Commissioner.
what's his title?
the commissioner.
LAPD commissioner. And people are walking down the street with a pickaxe, destroying property, and he's all for it. Wow. So I was like, oh, it's 2017.
Okay, yeah. So
I
it's
was
right
like,
after
all
he
right,
won
so
then.
we just jumped the fucking shark. This guy's a police officer, but he doesn't like Trump. So people can just swing a pickaxe on Hollywood Boulevard.
But we saw that again. Fast forward 3 years. You and I weren't allowed to gather more than 5 people outside of our household to celebrate the 4th of July. But BLM protests and
yeah.
riots, totally okay.
Well,
Right? Because it was just an okay.
if you want to watch Fauci jump the shark, you can hear him questioned by, I think, Jim Jordan about BLM versus ballparks and churches. And all of a sudden, he has no thoughts.
Yep.
And that's when I was like, that dude has been compromised, and we shall never listen to anything he ever says. I yelled about it 1,000 times. All the way to the airport, we went to Burbank, and I just kept yelling at Mike, that guy's compromised. We don't need to listen to him. And everyone always looks at me and goes, why not? He's Dr. Fauci. I go, because he's compromised.
Yes,
he's
he's biased and he has an opinion.
Yes.
And he's spewing his opinion and his emotion versus actual scientific fact.
Now, why don't you people understand when someone is compromised? Okay, one more.
And one more. This last story. So this is actually a video from a while back, but it's gaining attention again because it has been found out that the woman who attacked this reporter, a woman named Paulina Reyes, is apparently an intern for WHYY. Or can I say Y News? But it's WHYY News. All right, so let's watch this video of this violent interaction in Philly that happened.
I'm telling you, women are going crazy.
You talk shit about black people. You talk shit about Mexicans.
When?
And you post it on the
She
internet.
just pepper sprayed. She's raised
What am I?
her.
Oh, he doesn't want to be on camera now. Why not? Whoa.
She's not getting a rough and tumble play either because they don't know their limits. So angry. She gives it that. You can't take purpose away from women. They go fucking nuts. She's trying to punch him. Now, look, she looks like she's 5 foot nothing and maybe 89 pounds. So she's going to pepper spray him again.
It's insane. So he's an investigative journalist, and clearly she didn't like his news coverage.
They don't like the truth.
And so now
they want Don Lemon's version of Minneapolis.
Well, I mean, Don Lemon would probably hire her in a heartbeat because she agrees with him on everything. And she is an intern now. So people are kind of saying, hey, this is not okay. The revelation has fueled a lot of anger towards the news network, and people saying, we understand that she might not, quote unquote, be delivering the news, but she's a part of making the news, and she's an intern at your organization.
Listen, I want these bitches arrested. Like, my thing is
It's assault.
You can't put your hands on people, and you can't pepper spray people. And even if you're sort of worthless and 100 pounds, you're still not allowed to smack people and hit their cameras and pepper spray them, especially on public transportation. So just arrest her for assault.
Like he did absolutely nothing to her. It was his friend recording there. Do you want to take a wild guess? Should we take an over-under on what her, I already know what her majors are, her interests in her majors at a local community college in Philadelphia.
Chicano studies and indigenous people's rights.
Real close. Environmental justice.
Oh, yeah.
And marginalized communities.
Oh, she's a hero who punches people she doesn't know and pepper sprays them. But she's a hero.
Wow.
Yeah. Young girls on the left, you're going insane, and it's a joke.
Did you see the latest poll to double down on that? Is you would think that, a lot of this stuff has been like, oh, young men are fueling hatred online. Mm-hmm. No, it's actually white liberal women that are okay with political assassination now, according to the latest data.
Listen.
College has ruined women.
They won't. Listen, I've said a million times that women are inherently crueler and more physical than men. And I used to say this all the time. And I go back 25 years. If I'm in the kitchen and I'm at the stove and I'm making something and I step back and I step on a girlfriend's foot, her hand goes sailing out. Her hand, it's like it's attached to her foot.
It's a defense mechanism.
They're unable to manage themselves momentarily. Just hand fly out. They hit you.
I think
when you step on a dude's foot, the dude goes, oh, but he knows he can't throw his hand out. He's going to knock your tooth out. You know what I mean? Women, pow, hand, step on the foot, hand fly. Not a thought, just a hand fly. They didn't learn to regulate. They didn't do the rough and tumble play. So they didn't learn to regulate those feelings.
Part of that is true.
This woman, when she's charging at this guy who's 50 pounds and 9 inches taller, she doesn't know, she's not regulated.
Well, because she's being, I was almost like, is she high? Like, is she on something? The way that she just keeps going after him is insane.
I believe women are meaner than men. Now, men can start wars and men can behead people and men can do stuff, but there's a kind of a cruelness, like all the most Charlie Kirk cruelness was more from women than men.
Yeah.
Like men might write, good, he's a racist, but they were going,
and mimicking his getting shot in the neck.
Really cruel, like mean, cruel shit.
Yeah.
I think they have a little mean and a cruel gene in them. It's why they can.
On top of our self-defense mechanism that men don't need to have the same level of.
Right.
And there is a difference between conservative and liberal women.
That's why they can sort of pick on the girls at the school. There's a meanness and a cruelness that they have more of. Men can be more violent, but they're not as mean. Like it needs a little.
Well, I think
motivation.
Anthropologically, men can be like, oh, that guy makes me laugh, or we can goof around, or there's a status based on the physicality of a man and the bruteness of men and like who can win a fight, or who would you want to take with you to win a fight. For girls, it is much more social and communicative and popular based.
I agree.
Just in evolutionarily.
No, I agree.
That's why it's geared that way.
I agree, but what's happening, and that's fine, but we've pushed you to the front lines, and now an ICE officer is telling you to back up, and you spit in his face.
Yeah.
And I would never spit in his face because I know I'm going to be tackled. And you should have known that, but you were in the living room your whole life, and now you're on the front lines, and you're spitting in the guy's face, and then the guy's tackling you, and then you're yelling, "What's going on?"
We've had this conversation before, though. That is such a big difference. One, between male and female, and two, though, I think that when you look at conservative, more middle of the road, libertarian, independent-minded women versus traditional, stereotypical leftist liberal women, there's going to be a standard of differentiation.
A big difference.
There.
Well, the more traditional woman is just that. Traditionally, women didn't go out in the snow and fight with cops. They stayed at home and raised kids, and so they don't have
ran
those
Etsy
thoughts.
businesses and
Etsy businesses. All right, I'm going to be at Rodney's in New York City next week, doing a couple of shows there. 29th. Doing a stand-up show and also a live show. Scaramucci's going to join me. And then D.C. at the Kennedy Center doing a couple of shows there as well. You can go down Carolla.com for that. You have your column.
Yeah,
Where
Washington
is
Examiner this week. Usha Vance is pregnant with baby number 4.
Usha.
Catching up with the KRAUSS house.
And until next time, Sam Crawford, ELISHA KRAUSS, and Deontay Wilder, and Kim Bright saying, mahalo.